you see the paint on my hand? I've been painting the studio. Hey folks, how's it going? Thanks for checking the video out. Today I want to take a look at flex time, not flex pitch, flex time on drums, and there's a couple of sort of caveats here. In the videos that I've seen on people do flex time in the past, two things are kind of really apparent to me. First of all, they've got it to a click, so it's really easy to drag stuff around. And okay, that is quite easy, yeah, because you can just see the bar lines, so you just drag it. But the second thing is that their drum tracks never, how should we say this? They never make flex do weird stuff, because flex occasionally does do weird stuff. And it's nice to be able to know how to deal with that when it does happen. So typically people will flex time stuff and oh my God, it sounds amazing, but that's not really real world. And often you'll have drums that aren't recorded to a click. Not recording to a click is part of the real world really. So I want to show you something with some drums that I've never tried to flex edit before. I've not done anything to them. I'm just going to open it up for the first time and kind of see what happens. The only thing I've done to them is put them in a group, which is very important. So let's look at that now. So these are all in a group: my kick, snare, snare trig, rack, floor, overhead hats, overhead ride. So if I select all those and go to my mixer, you can see that I've put those in a group that is drums. And this is called drums. Now what I want to have engaged here is editing and quantized LUT audio. Why is that? Well, it's because when you group something, typically it might just be the fader levels that are grouped, or it might just be the mutes that are grouped. You don't want that. You want all the editing grouped. That means that when you make an edit on one drum, it makes it on the rest of them as well. Very important. So what we do then is we're going to press Command and F to bring up flex, and we're going to turn flex on all those channels. It automatically goes to monophonic, but we don't want that. We want slicing. Monophonic is one sound essentially. So think of a vocal, think of a bass line. We want it to be on slicing. Slicing is, in my opinion, the best for drums. I don't think it's just my opinion as well. I think Logic actually tell you to use slicing, but regardless. So this is going to slice up the drums, but there's something that is not on here that I need to be on here, and that is this little cue. Now, I don't want to have this cue reference on all of the drums. Why not? Because if I have that cue reference on all the drums, then what it's going to do is it's going to listen to all the drums. Now, I know that sounds weird, but I actually just want it to be listening to my kick, my snare, and my toms, because if it's listening to the overhead hats and overhead ride, it's going to pick up all these little intricacies, all the little hi-hats and stuff, and I don't actually want that. I don't want that to be what it's basing its timing on. Really what we're basing drum timing on is the kick and the snare, the majority of the time. Fills, maybe. But I just want it to reference the kick and the snare, so that's important. So I need to have cue on the kick and the snare, and you'll see the stuff's kind of changing around a little bit. And then on the rack and on the floor. I don't want it to be on the overhead hats and on the ride. You'll see that added like some more in. I don't want that. Partly because, well, there's actually going to be a little bit of a delay, isn't there, in the time it takes for a sound or snare drum to get from the snare drum to the overheads for a start. So that's going to throw things off a little bit. I can't say throw things off a little bit. So we just want to like that. So let's have a listen to this and see what we can do. Now, it's not recorded to a click. It's been recorded by me, so it's not perfect. But let's have a listen to the whole thing, scrolling backwards. Let's just have a listen to this alongside the guitars, and we're going to be kind of freehanding stuff here. Just squidging stuff around and seeing what fits. Here it is. That was a bit dodgy, wasn't it? That kick snare just there. Don't like that at all. Now, if we zoom in, we're going to see that it's kind of done some flex points for us, but kind of not at the same time. Like, we're not actually engaging them. The way we engage them is to click on them. Now, you'll see at the moment I've got like 3 little pointers there, 3 little flex things. If I hover over the top, it'll have just 1. We don't need to go into our tools and choose the flex tool or anything. It does it for us. Now, if I were to use the top one, what that would do is, well, just watch this basically when I do that. So I choose the top one, which is just 1, and drag it. And that's going to drag absolutely everything. Don't want that. We want the 3. And that's going to say, okay, this is the middle transient. This is the one to the left of it. That's the one to the right of it. 1, 2, 3. And it's going to move this relative to those. And that's kind of handy because we just want to move that one hit. So let's try and find out where this should be. That's kind of late and that one's kind of early. Oh yeah, and the snare's kind of late. So I'm kind of just freehanding this and kind of, here we go. Weirdness. Right, do I really want to create a high-speed section? The red section is time compressed by a factor of 12. All right, Logic. Right, let me undo that and explain why that just happened. Just here, we've got a flex marker. Now, why it thinks there's a flex marker there, I have no idea, because there's nothing there whatsoever. There's like a little tiny bit on the floor tom, but that's actually been muted. So why it thinks there's a flex marker there, I don't know. So what it's done is it said, right, you want to move that one, and by moving it there, you're making it so it's so tight that I'm going to go red and give you a warning and say, oh my God, don't do that because it's going to make a sound that goes zoop and weird. Here's how you get around that. The flex marker there that we don't want, click on it once, or twice in my case because it didn't work, and just go X and get rid of it. And then we can move this one back and it's not going to have any problems. Flex is weird. Flex is great, don't get me wrong. But it sometimes picks up stuff that it shouldn't do. Even when we haven't got the cue reference on the hats. If I did have the cue reference on the hats, then it would be picking up stuff all over the place. And we don't want that. So I've moved that kick. I've moved that kick. I've moved that snare. And look at these little points. Look, I don't know why you're doing this to me, Flex, but you are. You're picking up some weird points for some reason. All right, so let's see if this is more in time. It's a bit better. These are making it kind of flam though. Have a listen to these. Look. When it gets to this kind of point here, it's going to go weird. And it's not picking up any points. It's just Flex being a little bit annoying. So if you get rid of those points, it's got rid of them. Flex has some quirks. You won't see this in any other video. Well, you might do actually, and everyone's going to leave comments like showing me what videos people get this stuff on, but don't, because it will ruin the illusion. But what I often see is that people do flex time videos and everything is just perfect and everything is perfectly to the bar line and there's none of these little quirks that come up. This is real life. This is what happens. Sometimes Flex will identify stuff that you don't want it to identify. And you have to say, no, Flex, I don't want that. You have to click on it and you have to get rid of it. That is the key. That is the way to do it. Flex works in a weird way. And sometimes that can turn you off. It can kind of throw you away from using Flex because of those annoyances. But those are two key things to do. So first of all, you need to have grouping on. Absolutely, definitely. Second of all, you need to be using slicing mode. Third of all, if you get any of those, third of all, you need to make sure that your overheads aren't cue referenced because that's just, you're in for a bad time. And then fourth of all, fourth of all, you need to make sure that you're getting rid of any points that you don't want. You're using that three flex point tool, that's what you need to be using. And if there's any points that you don't need, just get rid of them because they're no use to anyone and they're going to just throw stuff off. Okay, let's have a listen then. So I think we've improved this kick and snare. If we just turn Flex off for everything first and listen to it without any Flex on and then listen to it with Flex on, I think we've improved it. Yeah, sounds a bit dodgy like that. Let's turn Flex back on. Nice. Now this kick is a little bit late as well. And it's done it again, look. It's just identified one just slightly to the left of it. Be gone. Let's just bring that slightly back. That's slightly late as well. Sam, you played this so well, mate. Really, really well. Another one. Sometimes you click on it and it just doesn't recognize it as a point. There we go. And it's just created another one. There you go. Another weird thing. Sometimes it will just create points and just say, no, don't feel like selecting that for you today. And it's created 2 points in that kick drum. That snare drum, sorry. We're not getting on very well today, are we, Flex? But this is real life. This is what Flex kind of does sometimes. And it's weird. I mean, look at all these. Look, it's just nonsense. That's one snare hit. It's not two. That was a little bit late as well, wasn't it? Don't do this. it's created a really strong flex marker on absolutely nothing there. This might seem like it's a video just slating flex time entirely. It's not. I do love flex time, but it's just like, oh, I don't know. I can't think of a metaphor. It's like that mate that's just like really stupid, but eventually gets to the right idea and does it really, really well. But they just keep giving you useless information after useless information until they finally get to the point. This is that stupid mate. It's given me loads and loads of flex points. It's given me the right ones as well. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's saying it's there, but it's just creating these weird ones that have no relevance to really anything. There's no hits on there. There's no anything. Just flex. Just stop being a fool. So this kick, I think, was a little bit out. I can get rid of that as well. It makes no difference to anyone. What's going on? It's a little bit late. Drag it back. Oh yeah, just create a load of points for me. Brilliant. That's what I want. That. Okay, really good spot. So the takeaway from this is that we can do things by just squeezing stuff. So we're not to a click here. So we're not just going and clicking quantize and doing all that. I might have done a video where I show you how to do that. If I have done a video already, I'm going to put it up the top now. If I haven't, then check back on my channel in the next little while and you might see one. But flex is like, in the real world, sometimes stuff isn't to a click and sometimes stuff isn't perfect. And you can still use flex. It just has the same issues as it has if you're going to a click. It's still going to create these weird orphan parts, like these weird flex points that bear no real relevance. You can see the paint on my hand. I've been painting my studio. It will still create all these weird flex points that have no real relevance to anything. You just have to know how to deal with them, and don't let that turn you off using flex, because flex is actually great. It's just that it creates these weird little things. Anyway, I hope it's helpful for you and showing you how we can edit drums without having to just click quantize and hope it does stuff right, without having a click, without having stuff that's like perfectly to a grid, and working with all the quirks of flex. That is the key ingredient here. Flex is not perfect. There's a video that I did that does quite well actually on how flex will sometimes just completely destroy the tempo of your track. Check it out up the top now. I never know which side it is. Which side is it? That side, I think. How flex just like destroys tempo within something that's recorded within a different tempo on another session. I'm babbling. But I love flex. It's great. Flex pitch is good. I do enjoy it. It's on par, I would say, with some of the, should we say, lower end auto-tune kind of equivalents. Melodyne's just king and queen of everything there. What can you say? Anyway, hope it's useful. I'll see you again soon. Take care.